Hey everyone, MB here at the OFAH Heritage Center. Can anybody guess what today's lesson might be about? That's right, the polar bear. And although it's polar bear to us, to the Inuit people who share the same home and habitat as the polar bear, it's Nanook. Now to be honest, it took me a little while to set up this shot. With the polar bear being so tall and me being so short, it took a little while to get us in the same frame. But here we are. The polar bear is classified as a marine mammal, and that's because they spend most of their time out on the sea ice. And don't forget to mark February the 27th in your calendars because that is International Polar Bear Day. In today's lesson, we'll aim to answer 5 questions about the polar bear. How big is a polar bear? How does it survive the cold? What do they eat? Do polar bears hibernate? And are they an endangered species? The first question is, how big is a polar bear? Males can weigh up to 600 kilograms, which is just a bit heavier than a concert grand piano. Females are generally smaller, weighing only about half that of a male. In terms of height, an adult male polar bear, standing on its hind legs, can reach as tall as 3 meters high. The next time you're at the Heritage Center, check out this chart and size yourself up against a polar bear. Our next question is, how do polar bears survive the cold? The average midwinter temperature in the Arctic is about minus 34 degrees Celsius. How cold is it where you are today? Here, just outside of Peterborough, it's about minus 10, but it feels much warmer in the sun. Polar bears are endothermic, which means they are warm-blooded, as all mammals are. So how do they stay warm in the cold? Polar bears have 3 main adaptations to help them survive the cold. Their fur, their skin, and their fat. Polar bears have 2 layers of fur. They have a coarse under fur, and then they have a thicker outer fur, made of guard hairs. Their fur is actually clear. It's not white at all. By having clear fur, it allows the sunlight to pass through their pigment-free translucent hair to warm up their skin, which is their next adaptation. Can anybody guess what color is a polar bear's skin? The answer is black. Think about one of those hot summer days. Which t-shirt color do you not want to dress up in? Black, because it absorbs the warmth from the sun, which is not great for us on a hot summer day, but for a polar bear, it helps to keep them warm. The third adaptation is their fat. Below their skin, polar bear are equipped with a very thick layer of fat, or some call blubber, which is up to 11 centimeters thick on some of the larger bears. To understand just how blubber works, here's something that you can try. You'll need 2 large bowls, 2 Ziploc bags, some Crisco vegetable shortening, some ice, and some water. First, open up the package of Crisco. This is vegetable shortening, but it is a good representation of the fat that Arctic animals have. Next, very carefully put it into 1 Ziploc bag. And then take the other Ziploc bag and create a mitt. Next, fill both bowls up with equal amounts of ice and water. and then test it out. How does your hand feel in the cold ice water? How does the hand in the blubber mitt feel in the cold ice water? What did you notice? This is exactly what it's like having a thick layer of fat underneath your skin, like the polar bear. The next question is, what do polar bears eat? Polar bears are carnivores, which means they eat meat. And the polar bear at the Heritage Center has a ringed seal in its mouth. This is one of their main prey species. Polar bears rely heavily on sea ice because their prey do. Ringed seals are plentiful in the Arctic, and their fat content is incredibly high, making for a great snack for a polar bear. This is the skull of an adult male polar bear. I've set it beside a 38 centimeter ruler for scale. Polar bear are well equipped with very, very sharp teeth to help them consume their prey. By taking a look at this skull, we can also tell that polar bears have an excellent sense of smell and an excellent sense of sight. Our next question is, do polar bears hibernate? And the answer is not quite. A pregnant female polar bear will create a maternity den where she will have her cubs. And even though polar bears mate in the spring, a female will only become pregnant in the fall if she has enough fat reserve to support her and her cubs. Cubs are generally born in December and remain in the den until March. They'll nurse until they are almost 2 years old and stay with their mom until about the age of 3, after they've learned how to hunt from their mother. Could you imagine leaving the house at the age of 3? Our final question is, are polar bears endangered? Because the Arctic region is divided by several countries, their status varies. In Ontario, the polar bear has been protected under the Endangered Species Act since 2009. But First Nations communities are permitted to sustainably harvest the bear, which is incredibly important to their culture and traditions and as a source of food and clothing. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like this video, comment below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to stay connected as we learn together outside the classroom.